Some people never fully enter a moment anymore. Even while they're living it, part of them is standing outside of it, watching how they sound, watching how they're being perceived, watching whether they said too much or not enough. And after a while, you stop feeling like a person. You start feeling like your own surveillance camera. They call this self-awareness like it's supposed to be a gift. But nobody talks about what happens when awareness stops helping you grow and starts making it impossible to rest. Because now every emotion becomes a question. Every interaction becomes a replay. Every silence becomes evidence. And the strangest part is, most people around you have no idea how exhausting this is. The strange thing about highly self-aware people is that they rarely feel confused about themselves. Most of the time, you already know why you feel the way you feel. You know where the insecurity came from. You know which experiences made you guarded. You know why certain words affect you more than they should. You've spent years tracing your emotions back to their source, like a detective working a case. That never really ends. And for a while, that feels like progress, because understanding yourself feels productive. It feels responsible. It feels like healing. But at some point, you realize something uncomfortable. You can understand yourself completely and still remain stuck, because knowing why you're drowning is not the same thing as coming up for air. And some people become so fluent in their own pain that they stop trying to leave it. They just learn how to explain it better. After a while, self-awareness stops feeling like awareness. It starts feeling like observation, like there are two versions of you living at the same time, the one speaking and the one quietly studying every movement while you do it. You become aware of strange things, the way your voice sounds when you're trying too hard to seem relaxed, what your face looks like while someone else is talking, whether you're making enough eye contact or too much, the fact that you nodded twice after saying something, because suddenly you weren't sure the first nod looked natural. Sometimes you hear yourself laugh and immediately wonder if it sounded genuine. So even after a completely normal conversation, you walk away feeling mentally exhausted. Not because anything bad happened, but the entire time, part of you was busy monitoring yourself, monitoring how you sounded, how you looked, how you were being perceived. And eventually, that kind of constant observation changes the way you experience life. You stop fully participating in moments. You start editing yourself inside them. If any part of this feels uncomfortably familiar, you're probably not alone in the way you think you are. There are a lot of people quietly carrying these thoughts through their lives, without ever hearing them spoken out loud. That's what this channel is for. This place is for you. One of the loneliest parts of becoming deeply self-aware is realizing how difficult it becomes to stop noticing things. Not big dramatic things, small things. The hesitation before someone says what they really mean. The way certain people only open up when they need something. The smile that looks just slightly forced. The conversations where both people are trying to be understood, but neither one is actually listening. And once you start noticing these patterns, it becomes hard to fully relax around people again. Because part of you is always reading between the lines, trying to understand what's being felt underneath what's being said. Which sounds useful in theory, but in real life, it can become exhausting. Because now even simple relationships start feeling emotionally crowded. You want to set boundaries, but you immediately imagine how the other person will internalize it. You want to protect your peace, but you can already feel their disappointment before the conversation even happens. So instead, you stay quiet. You absorb more than you should. And the strange part is, most people around you are probably fighting some version of the same battle. They're thinking about themselves more than they're thinking about you. Maybe the goal was never to become completely self-aware. Maybe the goal was just to become aware enough to stop being at war with yourself. Because there's a point where constant analysis stops bringing clarity and starts pulling you away from your own life. Not every feeling needs to become a deep investigation. Sometimes you're quiet because you're tired. Sometimes you feel distant because you've had a long week. Sometimes a moment is just a moment. It doesn't always need to become a conclusion about who you are. And maybe peace begins when you stop trying to monitor every version of yourself that exists inside other people's minds. Maybe peace is returning to the surface, letting yourself laugh before analyzing the sound of it, letting yourself speak without rehearsing the sentence halfway through, letting yourself exist in a moment before trying to understand it. Because you are not a problem waiting to be solved. You are a person, and people are allowed to be unfinished. I'll see you in the quiet.